now you are in a place where you don't have a good offensive line in an extremely difficult defensive division. I mean, in their division, they not only have the Rams, they have the 49ers who now have DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas, and number 2 overall pick from The Ohio State University, Joey friggin' Bosa, or excuse me,
The Ohio State University.
Who is just as good as his brother. I mean, like, you've got stacked defensive lines in your division, and your offensive line sucks. So, good luck.
Well, here's the thing about Kyler Murray. You're right. He's either gonna go out in a ball of flames, or he's gonna be a superstar, and it's gonna be one or the other, and there is no in betweens. You gotta be concerned about a guy that is a first round draft pick that is wearing a hot pink suit, but hey, he'll fit in just fine in October. Now I know the story, and I heard his interview that said, hey, I was a big fan of The Great Gatsby, and those who have seen that movie, it's a great movie. It's a great piece of literature. It's a great piece of history. But like Scarface, I mean, we like Scarface, but the ending wasn't so good. So the ending was kind of tragic with The Great Gatsby as well as like Scarface. So I don't know if liking yourself to The Great Gatsby is an indication of how great of a quarterback you are. But hey, I'll give it up to him. I would not be the guy wearing a hot pink suit. At first, I thought it was kind of reddish, and it was like in the interview before that, it was like, is he trying to tell us something code because of the red? I was looking at the red in the Arizona Cardinals, not really the hot pink, but the more he talked about it, I could see the pink more than the red. But anyway, those are the little things. Those are the little things, no pun intended, as we talk about his size. But let's go back to your guy, Dwayne Haskins, quarterback for the Ohio State, no longer, that was Washington Redskins. I really do think, Adam, that this is the best quarterback in this draft, and it's a great pick for the Redskins, getting a cheap quarterback to come in and push, get a fresh start. I think I love this pick by the Redskins. Like Kyler Murray, he's a one-year wonder, but there's a lot of potential. So I certainly give the Redskins an A for picking up Haskins, even if Haskins isn't happy to be a Redskin, but he needs to get on board with it because I think that if he comes in and does a great job, he has potential to be a franchise quarterback.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you don't throw what he threw at Ohio State and break every record set in the Big Ten. Not just Ohio State record. Every Big Ten single-season passing record. He broke them all. All of them that Drew Brees held, they're all gone. I mean, it was fascinating what he did in 1 year. 1 year as a starting quarterback. Could Haskins absolutely be a franchise quarterback? You bet. It helps that they also went then in the third round and drafted Indianapolis native and one of his best friends, Terry McLaurin, one of the Ohio State captains at the receiving position, to be able to help out the kind of the growth process for young Dwayne. The word is they were actually joking around on social media that they're just going to get an apartment and live together, which is honestly kind of a genius idea in helping keep your young quarterback focused on football, because Terry McLaurin is one of those guys that he loves football. The light took a little bit to go on for him there in Columbus, but his senior year he was awesome. And Terry was one of those guys that he's a great blocker. If it's thrown in his direction pretty consistently, he catches it. He's a special teams demon. He is legitimately the best special teams gunner I've ever seen in my life. And I've actually coached special teams gunners before. So, he is unbelievable. And getting him around good people like that will be – and frankly, I'd rather him go to a team like Washington that has a guy like Case Keenum that can really teach him to be a professional and somebody like that, recognizing that his job is to groom Haskins, because Keenum's not going to think that he's still a franchise quarterback, versus a place like Denver where Joe Flacco is going to look at him as competition. And Joe Flacco wasn't like a good teammate last year to Lamar Jackson. That was very public. Like Flacco was pissed off that Lamar Jackson was there. And if Haskins went to Denver, I think we'd see the same thing all over again. These quarterbacks don't recognize, hey, dude, you're 36 years old, bruh. Like, you can't play for forever. Time to pass the baton. But they all think they can because Brady's doing it.
No, you're absolutely right, and Brady's is a love or hate him. He's a phenomenal beast. But let's play the homer card here while we still got you for a couple more minutes here. We'll start with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, you're a super fan, Cleveland Browns. Really excited about what's going to happen in the 2019 season for the Browns. But last year, the Browns were the story. The Browns were the story of the draft. This year feels like we're not really talking about the Browns, which is, I'm sure the Brown fans are okay with. We just kind of want to snuggle underneath the blanket and be all snugly with our quarterback and our new coach, and just life is going to be good for the Cleveland Browns. And they got a guy by the name of Broccoli Shabon. No, so they're okay, and the Browns are okay, and that's good. But we're not talking a lot about the Browns. But look at the Browns 2 days into the draft, going into day 3. We've not talked a lot at all, especially here on the national scale like our show. I know that there's been some local talk, just like any fan base and fan city on the local talk, but on the national scale, we aren't talking about the Cleveland Browns. So let's talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Sure. You know, the way the Browns fans look at it, we didn't have a first-round pick because our first-round pick was Odell Beckham Jr., so I'm good with it.
Touché.
Then with the 17th
you know
pick,
what?
they go out.
Adam, time out. I am
Sure.
so sorry. I had such the biggest brain fart. It is Saturday morning, and it may or may not have had too much bourbon last night. I said Saquon Barkley, but I meant Odell Beckham Jr. So those that want to read into what I said, I misspoke. Go ahead.
So they got Odell, and then with the 17th pick, or what they moved up with the Colts, as Colts fans are aware, and got Greedy Williams, who a lot of draft experts had Greedy Williams as like the 10th or 12th best prospect on the board total. And the only thing you could hear is, well, why did Greedy fall? They're like, well, he doesn't like to tackle. He's a corner, dude. What's your point? Like, if a corner's doing his job, he shouldn't have to tackle a lot. You know who else didn't tackle? Deion Sanders. You know who else didn't really tackle? Darryl Green. You know who, like, go down the list of great cover corners. Did any of them like to tackle? Not really. Darrelle Revis kind of tackled, but, like, he would do, like, the old, like, if you're a little guy, you, like, jump on the big dude's back and be like, dear God, I hope a larger man helps me out here. Like, that's what small corners do. But Greedy he's got good size, and here's what I can tell you. Steve Wilkes, defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns, is going to say, Greedy, look, this is how you get your head in there. And now you've got Denzel Ward on one side and Greedy Williams on the other side. Good luck, because you're going to also have to hold up against the pass rush of Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Larry Ogunjobi, and Sheldon Richardson. Have fun, guys. Like, I'm totally fine with what they did. And then on top of that, I got super hyped because, you know, the Colts, who I am a huge Browns fan, and Tom knows this. I love the Colts, too. My mom was born and raised in Anderson. I used to go watch Colts training camp when I was a kid, and the Colts were my team when the Browns went to Baltimore. So I love the Browns and the Colts, and then the Colts go and snag Paris Campbell, who is unbelievable. The dude runs a 4.35 40. He completely torched the entire Michigan defense on a simple pop pass. Like, they didn't lay a finger on him because he's that quick and that fast. He's not super agile and doesn't get in and out of, like, he's not shifty, but he makes one move and he gets up to top speed in like a step. I will tell you, Colts fans, you will love this dude opposite T.Y. He is unbelievable. And he's also really young, even though he was a fifth-year senior, because he came into Ohio State as a 16-year-old, because he's incredibly intelligent and a team captain. Like, he's all you would want for.
I think maybe I texted you, maybe I didn't. I know I texted a few people last night. But Paris is T.Y.'s right hand. And they finally got that.
And
the other good piece, you were talking about good corners. Hello, Rock Ya-Sin, one of the best cornerbacks in college football, comes out of Temple to the Indianapolis Colts, and how he missed the first round. Why? Because he's a corner. Who wants to draft a corner in the first round? Ballard, until he proves me wrong, is checking off the boxes. Ballard and Reich and Irsay are finally, everybody's clicking on all cylinders. And me personally, as a Colts fan, I'm very, very excited to see what we were able to do. We traded out of the first round. We didn't need to get into the first round. Last year we kind of knew what we had to do, and we knew who we had to get and how we had. But even last year, I mean, let's make no bones about it. The Indianapolis Colts with Quentin Nelson made a pretty good pick last year. So they are building on it. It's like, they're just another piece of the puzzle is coming together, another piece of the puzzle together. And are we going to win the Super Bowl this year? No, but we sure as hell can win the division. So what are your thoughts about Rock Ya-Sin? Great cornerback out of Temple. Again, paired with Paris. Man, Ballard's earning his money.
Yeah, Rock Ya-Sin is really he is a big physical corner. Like I know that is what that's what Ballard looks for. That's what we see that. We saw that last year. Pierre Desir, big physical corner. Kind of came into his own. I hope Desir builds off of last year and that he's not a one-hit wonder. Pierre Desir was actually drafted by the Browns originally, and they just the light wasn't coming on, and they had to let him go. And what was the Browns' loss was the Colts' gain. So I mean, I think Rock Ya-Sin is really solid. The only concern that I have with him is less about him, and it's more about the Colts pass rush. I hope that the pass rush for the Colts is able to consistently build what was last year, because it's always a gamble when you have great years out of guys that have been kind of journeyman players, and so you go, okay, was this a 1-year flash in the pan, or is this something that the light's coming on late for the guy, like with Marcus Hunt, for example? Like nobody legitimately knows what we're going to get from Hunt this year. Like, could we see a repeat of last year? Yeah. Could he also be what he'd been the rest of his career? Yeah. I don't know. I do know though that Ballard is smart in the signings that he makes, and in the draft picks that he does. There are about 4 GMs that make moves in the NFL, and I just don't question anymore. One of those is the obvious. Bill Belichick, because I just wish he'd friggin' retire already so somebody else could, do things. I don't, at this point, I really don't question Howie Roseman much for the Eagles, because he is also doing, unbelievable things. I don't really question Ballard, and then I also don't question the guy that trained Ballard, John Dorsey of the Cleveland Browns at this point, because you not only built up the Browns, he's also the one that built the Chiefs. And Andy Reid, in about 2 years of running or a year and a half of running the show, they're having major issues because, frankly, I hope Tyreek Hill gets thrown in jail. If you haven't heard the audio that's been released on him, that dude's a thug, and he needs to be in prison, like, period.
So joining us now, a guy you know well as well, a Super Steelers fan, Kyle Courtney, joining to myself, a Super Browns fan, Adam Jividen. We're standing by for Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Phildeaphia Eagles. Adam, I know you got you for just a little bit longer, but let's talk a little bit about this Hill thing. And we'll start with you, Kyle. I know we brought you on to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but this Tyree Hill thing with Kansas City, they've got to just let him go. What are your thoughts there, Kyle? Welcome to the Balance, sir.
Yeah.
Again.
Hey, man. Good to talk to you guys, Adam. Hope all is well, man. I don't think there's a way that Kansas City can really get out of this without releasing them. It's very similar to what they dealt with, obviously, with the Kareem Hunt situation. Tyreek Hill had issues, obviously, with domestic violence coming into the league to begin with. And this is just, it takes the cake. You're dealing with some sort of Adrian Peterson level stuff here. So I don't think that there's a way that they can do anything but release him